All right, hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is STELLATHELIGHT here. I'm doing a video today that has been requested like a lot. I always get these questions about fats, like how much fats do you eat? What percentage do you eat? Are the fats you eat the fats you wear? Blah, blah, blah. And I think that this is like such a stigma behind the plant-based and high-carb lifestyle, like this RAWTILL4 starch solution, etc., etc., etc. There's so many different ways of eating and nobody's sure which way is the best way, and we all want to know, you know, what's going to get us the best results, what's going to help us lose the most weight. And I do think that certain people push certain stats or numbers out, like 80-10-10 or like a certain percentage per day. So anyways, why are we as plant-based vegans for the most part considered high carb? And what is this high carb idea, and why is everyone so obsessed with eating all these carbs and keeping the fat so low? So this is my idea behind why we are high carb. Eating, you know, when you're eating the standard American diet, the bulk of your diet, the bulk of the calories from your diet come from the most calorie dense foods like meat and dairy, those high fat, high calorie foods. So when you go plant-based, you cut those out. So just by chance, we automatically as plant-based vegans kind of have to eat high carb. It's just like by default we eat high carb because the foods that we're eating, the foods that we're eating the most, are very carb dense foods because they are the most calorie dense foods. So like nobody is sitting around eating 3 meals a day that just consist of vegetables, because if you were to do that, you would have to eat such a large amount of food and it would probably be so expensive, and just overall it just wouldn't make as much sense as having, oh, the vegetables and then alongside the vegetables starch, or having a smoothie that's more calorie dense, or you know, like you wouldn't have a green juice as a meal. Nobody would do that, or nobody would have blended up greens and vegetables as a meal, because you would have to have 16 heads of lettuce and, you know. Anyways, so what I'm trying to say is by default, we inevitably eat high carb, because on the other side too, nobody's really sitting and having like 8 tablespoons of almond butter as a meal. Like you would never think in your head like, oh, I want to have, you know, it just inevitably, the foods that we're eating the most are potatoes, rice, pasta, oats, fruit, those very carb dense foods, because that's where we need to get our calories from, our energy from. And they're also very nutrient dense. So they're nutrient dense, calorie dense, easy to digest. So inevitably, that is the idea of why most of us are high carb, unless you're eating a lot of junk food, but in that case, you're not a very plant-based vegan. But plant-based vegans, for the most part, unless you're pushing high fats, your body will go after those foods of, you know, those carb-based foods. On to the next question that I always get. Why are fats needed in the body? Why do we need them, and why can't we just not have them and just eat all carbs instead? So while that sounds like really, really great, for some people, it isn't how things work in the body. We need all 3 macronutrients. They're all very, very important in so many different ways. We need protein, we need carbohydrates, and we need fats. So the reasonings behind needing fats are, you know, there's a million, but the main ones that I want to touch on why we need to eat whole plant fats every single day. The first one is absorption of nutrients. So when you eat your food, you need to have fats in your digestive system to help absorb certain nutrients, because certain nutrients are fat soluble, certain nutrients are water soluble. So you do need fats in your digestive system to help you absorb nutrients, certain nutrients. So that is one of the reasons that you need fats daily, because you wouldn't be absorbing the nutrients that you're eating. You're eating all these amazing whole plant foods, but you're not absorbing everything that you can because, oh, I don't want to eat fats, you know, and that sounds a little bit crazy. So the next thing that I want to touch on is your hormone and thyroid function. for those to function properly and work properly, meaning also like the way your body burns calories, the way your hormones function, the way your body grows, you know, if you go such a long time, this is why women who undereat a lot, you lose their period, because your hormones go off whack once you, you know, you try to lower a macronutrient too much, or in general lower calories overall too much. Your body freaks out and says, where the fuck is that fat? And it starts to shut certain things down to conserve energy, because it's like we need that those essential fatty acids to function properly, and you're not giving them to. Okay, the next thing is it aids in digestion, again with the absorption of nutrients, but in general, having fats in your diet will aid in digestion. Now, having too many fats in your diet will slow down digestion, but you have to have, you know, just that right amount, which can vary person to person, but it will aid in your digestion. The next biggest one that I think a lot of people, this is why a lot of people fail on this lifestyle, on a plant-based lifestyle, is because they think the lower their fats are, the more weight they will lose and the less calories they will eat, etc., etc., etc. When in reality, fats aid in satiation. Like they're one of the biggest factors of satiation, you know, things like hydration, eating enough, and fats. They are three of the biggest things that help aid in your satiation. So if you've ever had a day where you feel like a bottomless pit, it most likely is because you're not hitting something. And one of the biggest things is hydration for most people, and also fats. Like, people will not eat fats for days and days and days and think, oh, I'm doing great, but they'll feel like a bottomless pit and eat double the amount that they would eat if they would just add in some whole plant fats with their meals every day. So definitely, if you are having that unsatiable bottomless pit feeling, try adding in more fats for a couple weeks, and I guarantee you will feel so much better overall, mentally and physically, and you will probably start seeing your results a lot faster because you will need to eat less food with more satiation. And then the last thing is just your skin, your hair, and your nails. There is essential fatty acids in there, and I talked about those before, but you know, those essential fatty acids, they are essential. They're essential for the functioning of your hormones, your thyroid, your hair growth, your skin elasticity, your nail growth, just softness. You know, you'll notice if you start lowering your fats too much, dry skin, brittle hair, your hair will start falling out, brittle nails, just not good. You know, it's just overall not good for you. All right, so then next thing that I'm going to touch on is how much fats do you need. So this varies person to person, and to find out how much you need, there's no need to calculate it, because a lot of people say, well, what percentage should I go off of? Because every day you're eating a different amount of food. It depends on how many calories you're eating. You know, one day you could be eating 2,000, the next day 2,500, the next day 2,800. Like, it varies, you know, day to day. Our calories and our calorie intakes should vary day to day, because every day we live a different life. You know, one day or 1 week you might be sick and laying low, you might not eat as much. The next week you're hiking for 3 days in a row and you need way more fuel than you would need. So this percentage and calorie number thing, throw that out the door and start to feel. So it's not gonna take a week, it's not gonna take 2 weeks, it's gonna take, you know, 6 months, a year. I'm 2 years in, and I'm still figuring out new and different ways that my body works and how this works for me, because I did live 20 years as a standard American diet, on a standard American diet, and then to a restrictive dieting mentality. So, you know, I was completely thrown off by this. This is a completely new way of thinking and new way of eating for me, and my body is still 2 years in, still adjusting, and probably will adjust for, you know, forever. You're forever growing, adjusting, changing, your lifestyle is changing. So in the very beginning, I did play around with very low fats, and I did find, you know, inevitably that I was just so hungry, and I was just eating and eating and eating. And while that didn't have a huge effect on me, I did notice as soon as I upped my fats, I started to feel more mental clarity. I started to feel calmer. I ate less. Like, I felt less of that, like, oh, I'm still hungry, oh, I'm still hungry, oh, I'm still hungry. You know, you're like just forever hungry all day long. It becomes mentally draining. You're like, why am I still hungry? So to figure that out for you, I do think that as plant-based vegans and for optimal health, that you should keep your fats low. That is a belief that I strongly believe in, and a belief that I think is more based off of, you know, there's all different studies and sciences behind why keeping lower fat is good for you, and I could go online and I could read off those statistics and those quotes from those doctors and things like that, but from personal experience and from seeing my clients, I'm just going to give you that feedback on why I think the fats are so important and how much fats you need. So like just feeling, that's my biggest thing, is that when I upped my fats, I felt better. When a lot of my clients finally up their fats, because a lot of my clients come to me and they're a little bit scared of fats because of this idea that other people on the internet have pushed of lower fats is better, and the fat you eat is the fat you wear, and, you know, fear the fat, which you know, people will think is a good idea in the beginning, but inevitably it ends up not working out because you will get very, very hungry. So I see a lot of my clients and they finally will up their fats for a week or two, and they'll be like, oh my God, this happened. I lost this amount of weight. I feel so much happier. I feel so much clear-minded. I feel healthier. I feel like I'm not eating as much. I feel this and that. I'm sleeping better. Like it really affects so much, and until you try it, you won't know. So you have to try it out for yourself and see how it works out, and I guarantee it probably will work out really, really well for you. So if you're one of those people that's kind of like scared of fats, or you don't know how many fats to eat, I do think that probably like 10 to 20% is the normal range for people of your calorie intake. So this in general should be like a handful or two of fats a day. So just play around with it, you know, put some chia seeds in your smoothie, have a little bit of almond butter with your oatmeal. A handful or two of fats is not a big deal. A lot of people get scared and think like, how am I going to up my fats? How do I do that? They ask me like, how do I up my fats? And I'm like, simply add more fats into your smoothie. You won't even notice it. It will not even be a thought in your head until you know, start to feel better, and then you're like, wow, those 3 tablespoons of extra chia seeds that I put in my smoothie make me feel amazing, or, you know, whatever. So a handful or two of fats, roughly a handful, is usually good. I mean, play around with it. You can go higher than that, you can go lower than that. For me, every day is different. Sometimes I eat higher fat, sometimes I eat lower fat. Usually it's right, you know, in the middle, around the same amount every day. Sometimes it gets really, really low, and sometimes I have super high fat days. But overall, I like to tell people not to think of this 24-hour period of X amount of calories in 24 hours, X amount of fats in 24 hours, because that's not really how the body functions. We will even out over the month. Your body will inevitably, with calories and fats and this and that, you will even out over the course of the week or the month. You know, think of it long term. So don't think like, oh, in this 24 hours I can have this many fats, because that's how many fats your body burns in 24 hours, or, you know, however, whatever mentality is going on. Instead, think of it in more of like a long-term type of thing. Like, okay, over this month I'm gonna have, you know, your body will inevitably even out as long as you let it. And when you trick yourself and get into this obsessive counting and weighing and, you know, things like that, your body will naturally start to get this fear behind food, and you become obsessive with it, and you'll just want to, you know, if you say I can have 10% fats every day and that's it, you will naturally want to have more fats. Like your body will say like, no, I want to have more. You know, like, because you feel like you can't. It's like a, I don't even know how to describe it. But anyways, the last thing that I want to touch on is being a plant-based vegan, we opt for whole plant foods. So the fats, what kind of fats should you be eating, and what kind of fats shouldn't you be eating? So basically why we don't eat oil, or why we opt not to eat oil most of the time. The reasoning behind this, and it's so simple, very cut and dry. Of course, again, there's tons of research and statistics behind the effects of it on your body, and how it, you know, messes with the chemistry of your blood, and how thick or thin it is, and your cholesterol or your fat buildup in your arteries and disease and blah, blah, blah. There's tons of research behind that. But the main thing that I want to get across is that we eat whole plant food. So let's put it very, very simple. You have an olive here and you have olive oil. So in 1 tablespoon of oil, there's about 120 calories, I think, or 100 or 130, something around 100 to 130 calories in that 1 tablespoon of oil, a tiny little tablespoon of oil. So, you know, you use a couple tablespoons of oil in your cooking and you're up 300 calories without even tasting it, seeing it, you know, nothing. And in those 300 calories or whatever, even if you just use a tablespoon, we'll say 120 calories. In those 120 calories, every single calorie comes just from fat. It's all just fat in there. You take the olive, so you have this beautiful olive that has so many nutrients, vitamins, minerals, water, fiber, and you strip all of that away and leave just straight liquid fat with nearly no nutritional value. There might be a few trace minerals left in there, but for the most part, it's straight fat. So you're going to overconsume it very easily because it is so calorie dense. And I'll put a picture here, of course, that'll help you understand a little bit better what I'm talking about with the calories and the satiation level. So you won't be satiated on this oil versus eating the actual whole entire olive that has the fiber and the nutrients and the water and just everything so good in there for you. So that is the basic idea. We want the whole entire plant food, not just the stripped away fat from it. So I would rather eat an olive over olive oil, a coconut over coconut oil. People use avocado oil. Why not just eat the whole avocado? Well, I don't eat the avocado because I fucking hate avocados. They make me want to gag, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, so the fats that you should be eating are nuts, seeds, like I'll name some of my favorites. My favorites are peanut butter, almond butter, chia seeds, flax, like ground up flax. And those are just about all. I mean, I'm sure I get trace amounts of fats from other things, you know, like some foods just have a little bit higher amount of fat in them, but those are my favorites for the most part. I do a lot of like peanut butter and almond butter, which different strokes for different folks. You eat whatever fats you want. It doesn't matter what kind of fats you eat, but I cannot stress enough how important fats are in your diet. Don't try to not eat fats. Don't try to keep them as low as possible. Do not calculate your calories every day to get your percentages. If you do that, you're going to just trick yourself back into that diet mentality and coming to this lifestyle. You want to get as far away as possible from the diet mentality. You want to live intuitively. You want to feel. So with the fats, start adding the fats in, feel it out, give yourself time. Don't think it's gonna happen over a week or over a couple days or even 2 weeks. Give yourself a month or two, up your fats, and I guarantee you will feel better. You'll adjust accordingly as soon as you start to feel, you know, are you having high energy? Is your digestion good? Are you sleeping well? How, you know, just pay attention to those things. And if they're feeling good, then keep doing what you're doing. Stay close to what makes you feel good. And if you're feeling bad, then you have to change something. So 2 things as like an overview of this video that I want to hit on are: 1, include your fats daily. They are very important for so many different reasons and you will not regret it. And 2, that on this lifestyle, you have to throw away the numbers. You have to throw away the diet mentality, the meticulous counting and manipulating of food, and you know, you have to throw that away and you have to start feeling. That is where that intuition comes into play. And I know it gets a lot deeper than that. It's easier said than done. But you know, just simply put, that is what you need to do. You have to feel. You have to feel everything out and stay close to what makes you feel good and stay away from what makes you feel bad. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you have any video suggestions or anything you want me to discuss, any topics or questions, leave them down in the comments below, or you can go to my anonymous Tumblr and you can leave your questions there and I'll either answer them there or I'll put them in a video here. And if you're interested in going plant-based, just visit my website, STELLATHELIGHT.com. Hit the contact me button and tell me your story and why you want to go plant-based. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and I will see you for the next video.